Shalom. Call halal Yahawashi BAHASHAM Karpadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. To the hopefully elect scattered to the four corners of the earth among the heathen, that be like unto the speckled bird, and to the Yahawah that are listening and learning, I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Greatmillstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in prophecy and truth, what's going on in the world. So let's look at some world events and how they're playing out in prophecy, right? Which is all going to lead up to the day of the Lord, which is close at hand. The chaos is already beginning. The World War III is already on the table. The militaries are already arranging themselves in battle array. The chip has been deployed. Now all we need is for the chip to be made mandatory, and any of these events could bring that. You know, we don't even know what's going to happen in the chaos which is going on in California right now, because it's dark out there, and there's a lot of places that have no power whatsoever. I can only imagine the amount of crimes, murders, rapes, robberies, all that other stuff. But if you look at the title of these videos, you know, it says British word. We're going to go into that first one. But you look, it said, well, U.S. trade deal, lower food standard, and UK BBC. See, no one wants to deal with America, man. They don't want those foods over there. There's a lot of foods that get turned away at the borders in these foreign countries. Brexit explained what happens when the UK leaves the EU. It's just all, they're all worried about it. And this is just that nation, the house being divided. And the house divided cannot stand. So without any further ado, let's let the former Prime Minister say his piece.
At 9 p.m. tonight, my campaign team is bringing me an
damn
updated
commercial.
list of my supporters.
This orange bastard right here.
Let's
click him off.
And for more on
this
international problem in the air, let's go now to former UK MP George Galloway. So George, first, I'd like your comments on Trinity's report on that 787 Dreamliner made by Boeing. That is $5.5 billion in canceled contracts over safety concerns from Aeroflot.
Ouch. $5.5 billion canceled. See, the American economy is going down the toilet. The trust in America and the belief in America and the nations are showing that they hate Babylon. They're showing you the disdain that they have for the Edomites here in America. All right?
Well, to paraphrase George Carlin, the great American comedian, it's called the American Dreamliner because you'd have to be asleep to believe in it. And what we are seeing here are chickens coming home to roost. When you've got the kind of recent safety record and the same kind of criticisms now being made by the FAA itself, you can't expect people to shell out billions of dollars on products that might not just be faulty, but fatal. And
one of the reasons they're faulty and fatal because, hey, the American workforce is all drugged the hell up. All right? Everybody's on psychosis and depression drugs and things of that nature. All right? You know, hell, you're drinking the water, eating the food. You don't know the type of effect that's going to have on you.
Oh, Britain used to rule the waves, and America used to rule the air.
Ooh, let's take that back. He said,
rule the waves.
Wait, one more time. His accent is heavy.
No.
He said Britain used to rule the waves, meaning the seas, and America ruled the air. You know what? Let me go to Isaiah 14. I believe it's 10. This is Isaiah 14 and 10. And it reads, and they shall say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? He said, used to run or rule the airwaves and the sea. They no longer do that. They got China, Russia, and other countries to deal with. All right? The FAA is under threat. of being control of the airways, because it came. You had to. English was the mandatory language for everyone to fly. But it seems that they're losing that power.
Just be faulty, but fatal. And, you know, Britain used to rule the waves, and America used to rule the air. But the time has come when neither of those things are true. And also, people like Russia, like Aeroflot, like China, which is also waiting in the wings with a big Boeing order, and might now itself reconsider them. Perhaps that's partly going to be resolved by what happens in the trade war. These big customers have got big bank books, and they can make or break even the biggest of companies.
And George, this is...
And he said they don't want to deal with these companies. And you know what? Everybody's tired. You know, they've drunken that wine. Matter of fact, let's go get that in it said in Jeremiah. Ezekiel, Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon have been a golden cup in Yahawah's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. And the nations are mad, man. They're mad because they followed and listened to America, and all it's done was ruin their economies, sometimes their cultures and their way of life. All right? You got nations who women and families have been pretty much in order, are all in disarray and disorder. Why? Because they're following along behind Babylon.
All on the heels of their MAX 8 jets, which look like will remain indefinitely grounded, at least by the European air authorities there. Officials in the EU are not happy with how the FAA have allowed Boeing to basically self-check and inspect their own planes. Europeans want their own procedures. How do you see that impacting global flying?
Well, I myself would not dream of flying on...
Did you hear that? That's going to... The Europeans are really sick of America. America is about to lose control over global flying. All right? As you can see, it's happening. It's Babylon is losing its luster.
One of these Maxes because of what happened. 2 fatal air crashes. And who in their right mind allows the police to police themselves? Who will guard the guards? I mean,
and this is true, and in so many ways, especially here in Babylon. All right, this is, and because Esau just thinks, well, let's get a scripture to say it better than I can. This is Wisdom of Solomon 2:11, and it reads, "Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth." So it's not about being right. I'm in court right now, back and forth battling with a case, and if you knew, you know, one of these days I'm just gonna show all the details and show you how crooked the justice system is and how the judges are all a part of it. When you see the level of wickedness that they've gone to try and keep my case out of the federal court and trying to put it back in state, because in the state there's no remedy for my situation. And so they've bounced my case from 2 different counties to another state, then back to the original county, given the states, and when they could have seen my case on each one of those accounts. All right. But they're trying to do, what the judge is trying to do is let it go long enough so that they can just be thrown out and they can put me back at the mercy of the state courts, which I have no remedy. And every time he came against my case, it was never on the merit of my case. My case is rock solid, pointing out all the crimes. It basically pointing out all, using their own laws, all the laws they violated to enforce what they enforce. And what they're afraid of is that the floodgates will open up. That's what this is really about. Protecting that billion-dollar industry that they have going. And here it is, some spigger, some nigger comes along and beats them at their own game with their own playbook. because everything in my case is lawful and to the T and pointing out their wickedness, and they do not like it and they're actually afraid of it. That's why they're doing that. All right, this judge is doing everything in his power to keep from seeing my case, man. All right, they even sent information to the wrong address, because if you don't respond to stuff, they assume that you got it, and then they can start the proceedings of it. That's the information that I just gave you. You learn a lot when you deal with the law. All right, that's how they get things going. All right, if you don't respond to a letter, then the courts will assume that that you did and you're ignoring it, and then they can proceed. But if that letter is returned to sender, it prolongs it. That's a little tidbit of information for you people out there. All right, for the righteous, to defend yourself against the darts of the devil. All right, you don't have to accept his mail, because they can't proceed with anything until notice has been given, and they have to prove the notice has been given. All right, that's their own law. It's not about justice and truth. And that's why you have people, the police policing the police, because the judges up. Who's going to police the judges? Who's going to police the police? Who's going to guard the guards? Just like he said.
In the idea that Boeing could self-check its own work with a safety record like that is patently ridiculous. No customer will accept that. No air aviation authority worth its salt will accept that. If these planes are going...
That's like going to a doctor that taught himself. All right? How many people got to die before he gets it right? Wouldn't it just be smarter to go to a doctor who learned from another doctor who's already been tried in the fire, that knows?
To get back into the air, and so many of them are now grounded, then they'll have to be checked by the authorities of the countries out of which they are flying, not by the company themselves. That's patently absurd.
And George, European airplane maker Airbus also coming under fire from the WTO over Trump administration allegations of improper or these illegal subsidies being issued. WTO ruling on the side of Trump. This sparked off new tariffs against the EU. That's set to take place October 18th. How do you see...
How are you going to put tariffs on your allies? This is why they hate this place, man. That's not good business. That's not being wise. And the prophecy said that this would come, man. The 10 toes are breaking up, man. All right? The iron and clay is breaking apart.
This playing out?
Well, of course, this is a different kind of problem. People's lives are not at stake if the European governments are subsidizing Airbus. But the WTO has ruled in America's favor. You're right to say that. I made the point to you some time ago that the United States subsidizes Boeing through the military-industrial complex, ordering vast, vast sums, billions and billions of dollars worth of hardware from Boeing. There's subsidies and there's subsidies. I myself am not against subsidies, but those that believe in absolute free trade, absolute unfettered capitalism, no doubt have a problem.
WTO means World Trade Organization, for those of you who are listening.
With that, I have no flag to fly for either of these companies, I should say. I don't look at life that way. But the WTO ruling has led to American sanctions being imposed. But one of the things that we learn from today's events, Manila, is that, you know, you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Oh, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Whose blessing was the sword? Was that not Esau, Edom? This is Revelation 13 and 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. The saints faithfully believe and are patiently, meaning suffering, waiting to kill with the sword those that killed them, and to put into captivity those that put them into captivity. This is the end game. This is the end of the book. That's what happens at the end. That's what happens.
You go around the world sanctioning other people might eventually start sanctioning you.
And George, lastly, do you see the trouble in the skies then impacting a post-Brexit UK?
And that's going to be the next video. This Brexit thing with the UK in the UK is getting hot. All right, it's getting real hot. And that's going to help speed up all these things, the prophecies. That's gonna make the 10 toes fall apart that much faster.
Well, you know, I'm prepared to be convinced to eat chlorinated chicken. And if part of our trade deal that we make with...
Wow, because they know that they're gonna have to eat American food. So, you know, food defiled. That's just sick. They know it's coming.
The United States requires me to do so. Well, I'm ready to look at that. But I'm not ready to get on or let my children get on board a faulty air.
So he's going to pick defiled food over a faulty airplane when defiled food can kill you too. Matter of fact, it's probably even a worse death because it'll sneak up on you. You'll die slower and in pain versus if you died in a Boeing, your death is instant. All right, versus you getting sick and suffering. They're trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with you. One more closing scripture. This is because there's still many Israelites all over there in the part of the world where he is. Okay, this is Ezekiel 4:13. And Yahawah said, "Even thus shall the children of Israel eat their bread defiled among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them." So the Israelites are driven among the Gentiles, patiently waiting for the Lord to collect them up and render the recompense to them who scattered them. Call halal Yahawah by Shanabashai by Hashem Wakak Badash Wa Abba Babal.